Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of our Roadwarden Let's Play, where we're following Armant, the newest Roadwarden, on his journey to explore the peninsula and complete what is seeming like an increasingly long list of side quests. And so we're leaving an inn called the Pelt and heading further west towards Howler's Dell. And along the road with our trusty steed, our palfrey Bill, and we come across a ruined village. And this is where most of today's session is going to take place. Um, you know, like the other episodes, we kind of have some choices to make about the direction that we head in, and I do like how in discovering this new space, we almost are uncovering pieces to a puzzle as we choose different dialogue choices and explore various parts of this area. And so, again, the very kind of fog of war esque, visual mechanic here, with such a simple interface, still um, creates a sense of wonder and excitement and curiosity at what you're going to uncover, because I feel like every time I click a dialogue choice, I could potentially be killed, or something unexpected could happen. And I very much felt that in this entire episode as we explore each part or each section of this walled, ruined, dilapidated, destroyed village. I mean, it's burned. There's claw marks everywhere. Things are destroyed and in tatters. And so I choose to kind of go along the perimeter, and I started the southwest part of the village, and I'm picking up a few things as I go. I just got a fish trap that will be used later to gather some food, which I think is very cool. I kind of peer outside the western part of the gate here and discover, it's a little too dangerous for us to move out in that direction, and that we should continue to kind of stick inside, stay inside this village and explore further. And our I like how that it gives us this idea that Bill has like a sixth sense that we should probably also not continue. And so we continue along the western side, up the northwestern side, towards another gate. Very similar scene where there's destroyed buildings, and there's this stench of rotting feces and flesh and kind of death and decay, and that's a recurring smell throughout the entire village. And so trying to figure out like what happened to this village, you know what killed these things, where's that smell coming from. And much like the western gate, the northern gate, we also should not leave. But it looks like somebody's kind of um, barred the gate from opening. They've kind of pushed the logs deeper into the ground and packed it in with sand or dirt to make sure that the gate can't be opened. Uh, you know, Again, things are rotting. There's not really anything in the way of food, so we beyond that fish trap, there's not really much else that we found so far that's of any use, and we haven't gone in any of the buildings just yet. So we're on the northern side of the village now. Continue around the eastern side, and uh, kind of try to push through the rancid, vomit inducing smell. And I say vomit inducing because our mind actually throws up and we lose our food. And I think our nourishment went down too when we did this, which is, I think, a cool mechanic. That it actually has some sort of physical effect on our character. So we move down the eastern side, and now we start to notice some things. We notice that there's some things that are placed in a very particular way. We see some human footprints. There's some tools that are kind of gathered together in a very peculiar way, like they've been used recently. And again, I want to consider exploring the entire perimeter just to make sure things are safe. We see that there's some leftover carvings or children's toys, from a settlement long gone. There's no signs of human life in any of these buildings so far, and we make our way finally to the main square, the middle part of the village here, and discover that this is actually, a pretty well put together village. At least it once was. Um, there's still a bunch of rotting corpses everywhere, and the smell has not gone away. But it does seem like this at one point was some well-to-do settlement. And so uh, the well is also of no use to us. It's filled with dirt. There's carrion birds everywhere, um, and so we hear some sounds though coming from the largest building. And we kind of creep our way inside, and we hear a voice, and somebody threatens us, and tells us to show our hands to make sure that we're not a threat. And so I choose to comply and you know kind of approach this with caution, and kind of ask the person to relax. I place my axe up against the wall, but I do have a dagger just in case things get kind of weird. Um, and I can tell that there's only one person inside here. Okay, um, and the guy has kind of a shaky voice, so it's not like this guy's maybe fully confident that he could take on whatever threat I might pose. And so, um, just like the male companion at the beginning of the game, I don't get this guy's name. I don't know who this is. We just get told that he's the scavenger. Um, and so we make our way in, and this guy's sitting on the stairs. And then this is when I decide to take some notes. So the scavenger, perhaps I'll get his name later on, but I want to make sure I start writing some of this stuff down. Okay, he's got a crossbow. He's in tatters. His clothing is dirty. Uh, he he's got this long beard. Okay, there's a stairway, but it's kind of collapsed in, and uh, he's kind of stuck in here. It seems like, and it smells terrible. It smells like piss. Uh, and so, like we saw in the other episode, there's a very quid pro quo vibe in this game world where immediately people are asking for favors, and he notices we've got a horse, and he doesn't deem us a threat. And so again, just like before, I go through the dialogue options, see what I can discover, and I'm trying to figure out what the hell what happened here. Give me some context before I help you, right? And so he tells us this place was ransacked by beasts. He reminds us to avoid the eastern roads. I feel like that's going to be a recurring theme throughout this entire game until we are eventually going to get to the eastern roads. We're going to find out what's in the eastern part of this region, because everyone seems to be afraid of it. And we got a little bit of that context earlier in the series. I think in the first episode, it told us that perhaps there were some dragons that we should avoid. We're nice to the guy. We give him some meal, some of our food rations, and hopefully this kind of motivates him to be a little bit more forthright with some information. And we start asking some questions that we need answers to. So again, we push him for information about what happened here. We talk a little bit about Asterion. We mention the bandits, and he gives us some information that may be of use here, or later on. Sorry. And then again, just like before, what kind of monsters or what kind of threats should we consider as we traverse the peninsula in our job as the new road warden on the block. And so, nothing of value here. I was curious as to whether or not this would kind of unlock some side passage that could get us some item, but that kind of proved to be a dead end. And so, when we asked him about Asterion, again, sounds like this guy also heard about him, knows about him, never met him, but suggests that we explore elsewhere for further answers. And so um, this is where we get his quest, quote unquote. He tells us that he wants us to make sure that the road to Howler's Dell, which is further west, is clear, and then come back so that he can uh, refresh his supplies and make it out of this ruined village because he can't do it alone. Uh, and so he wants to go in one direction, but we convince him that going back towards the pelt, which seemed like a pretty open, welcoming settlement. The innkeep seemed very nice, and so he eventually acquiesces. We convince him, and we press on. We press through and get a little bit more information about the mayor of Howler's Dell, whose name is Thais. We're warned by the scavenger here that we shouldn't be too curious about where Thais got her wealth, which you're going to see in the next episode. She is very cagey about, and you know, one of the things he gives us that we didn't end up using in this episode that we may end up using later, I suppose, to ward off a beast, is what I assume is a jar of piss. Like he kind of hints a little bit here. He winks and he chuckles at us, but I think he just gave a jar. I think he just gave us a jar of his own piss, and I think that scares away ape men, and maybe that'll be of use in the future. But yeah, now we're carrying around a jar of piss. We go ahead and add Thais' name to the notebook here, and see if maybe we can get more context from the innkeep, which we eventually do later on in the series. At this point, I'm trying to get this guy to maybe listen to my guidance and advice. I gotta be honest. Some of the dialogue is hard to understand. I find myself having to read through the accents and the dialect one or two or three times just to kind of get what they're trying to say. I like it; it's flavorful. However, it is. I am having to reread a few times just to get the gist of what they're saying. So, we convince him that the pelt is the place to go, and that the hunters there will accompany him along the road because I've got other duties as the Roadwarden, and so I do offer to escort him, but I've got to go clear the road first and go towards Howler's Dell. So again, we see a situation here where we're getting information in our journal that is probably very useful, but I have to. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a combination of me balancing what the game chooses to reveal to me and what I should try to remember myself, particularly with people and places and where things are at. I will say that I'm probably still focused just on the people and haven't started writing down where things are at, and I have a feeling that I'm going to need to do that. But there is a glossary, there is a bestiary, so perhaps I need to explore those resources a little bit more. For those of you that have played this before, if there's certain things that you guys have taken notes on that aren't spoilery, but that you should just in general suggest that I write down, please leave it in the comments. If there's maybe something you think I missed in one of these sessions that is in a place that I visited, again, in a way that's not going to spoil it. If you want to just tell me, hey, like go back to X location and look a little closer, that would definitely kind of make sure I get the most out of the game. I don't want to be bouncing around back and forth, and I may not include those moments in the Let's Play here, but I do want to get the most out of the game without necessarily trying to be a completionist. But I have a feeling that as I randomly collect these things, that there's going to be some things that I could miss if I don't select the right choice. Um, and I just want to make sure I get the most out of it, with this being a different kind of game and things not necessarily being right there in front of you, and the game not necessarily hand holding you in terms of maybe what's going to be useful in the future. So yeah, I appreciate any of that advice you guys could leave in the comments. But we're gonna wrap up this episode. We are gonna head further west after talking to the Scavenger here. Still didn't get his name. Not sure why everybody's so cagey about giving their name here, but that seems to be a common thread. So I hope you guys enjoyed Armant's next steps in his journey to become the best Roadwarden that there ever was. And do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe to the channel so you see when my next episode comes up. I'll see you guys later. Hope you have a great one. Take care.